Dreaming remains one of the great mysteries of human nature. We sleep, and though our eyes are closed, we see. In the absence of external sound waves, we hear noises, voices, music, and though our bodies are not touched, yet we feel. All of this will happen without any particular effort or desire of our own. The brain will produce worlds without our will, making for us involuntary lives to be lived, neither with nor without our consent. Scientists offer various theories for why we dream, some suggesting that dreaming serves no function at all, but is merely an incidental byproduct of sleep without purpose or meaning. But other scientists claim that further research indicates something more. Dreaming serves a function in processing emotion, or tending to memories and information, or bolstering creativity and problem solving. Whatever this means and however this happens, it seems the people who dream cope better with emotion, have better memories, and are more creative and adept at problem solving than those who do not dream. Whatever their ultimate meaning, it seems that dreams are, at any rate, natural, unavoidable, good, and somehow necessary. Not that we cannot function without them, but that we function best with them. And all this being the case, it seems that dreams are in some sense fundamental to being human. For me, it is sufficient to know by experience that dreams are refreshing, reinvigorating, nourishing. To awake from dreamless sleep is to awake rested, but to wake from vivid dreams is to wake as a new person, a kainos katisis, a newly invented creation. The vividness of a strange reality, being dipped into an experience so radically foreign to waking life, unfamiliar because it is so new because we could not have invented it if we wanted to, and complex with a complexity that would have taken us days to consciously compose if we could have consciously composed it at all. Such a journey into such an experience affords us not merely the opportunity to radically reorient ourselves, but in fact, it reorients us whether we want it or not. It is like that feeling of returning from a long vacation to a new and different place. In dreams, I have traveled far, not to a new geographic location with merely new experiences, but to a new and bizarre state of consciousness with experiences qualitatively different than in waking life. And coming back from such visions, I feel something has been grafted onto me, something added to me, and I am revitalized. If thou be'st born to strange sights, things invisible to see, ride 10,000 days and nights, till age snow-white hairs on thee. Thou, when thou return'st, will tell me all strange wonders that befell thee. Carl Jung wrote that the images produced in dreams are much more picturesque and vivid than the concepts and experiences that are their waking counterparts. One reason for this is that in a dream, such concepts can express their unconscious meaning. In our conscious thoughts, we restrain ourselves within the limits of rational statements that are much less colorful because we have stripped them of most of their psychic associations. For Jung, dreams are vivid because they express the fuller range of perceptual data that our minds and senses take in during the day. When you walk through a forest or a city, sounds are entering your ears which you might not be aware of. Birdsong, car engines, human voices, reflected light, and forms that you may not remember are entering your eyes. In fact, you cannot be aware of all the data that is entering your senses. You cannot be aware of all the green of every leaf at once, or of every inch of blue in the sky at every moment. or of the feel over time of wind on your skin and pressing on your clothes. But all that information is coming in through your eyes, your skin, your ears, nonetheless. Not yet perhaps a conscious experience, but nevertheless as brain activity. I say not yet conscious, because on Jung's account, the function of dreaming is in part epistemic, to make that unconscious input conscious in some way, to raise our awareness, to raise our understanding of the things we experience during the day and of their significance. Dreams are a more condensed and thorough processing of perceived phenomena. They are a recreated world where ideas are not so stripped of their emotional energy. Whether or not Jung is correct in this, it is difficult to deny that dream perceptions, while manufactured, are more meaningful, rich, emotionally substantial than waking perception. And to be dipped into dreams is to absorb and take on the weight of that denser water. Our life is twofold. Sleep hath its own world, a boundary between the things misnamed death and existence. Sleep hath its own world, and a wide realm of wild reality, and dreams in their development have breath, and tears and tortures and the touch of joy. They leave a weight from off our waking toils. They do divide our being. They become a portion of ourselves, as of our time, and look like heralds of eternity. They pass like spirits of the past. They speak like sibyls of the future. They have power, the tyranny of pleasure and of pain. They shake us with the vision that's gone by, the dread of vanished shadows. Are they so? Creations of the mind? The mind can make substance, and people planets of its own, with beings brighter than have been, and give a breath to forms which can outlive all flesh. I would recall a vision which I dreamed, perchance in sleep, for in itself a thought, a slumbering thought, is capable of years, and curdles a long life into 1 hour. Perchance in sleep. Because the dream is natural and good, the phenomenon of dreaming is, for me, the great justification of imaginative fiction. It cannot be silly or vain or a waste of time to make, as sub-creators, imaginative worlds when our bodies do so naturally and for our health. If dreams are not unimportant, neither is fiction. Nature is firmly on the side of inventing worlds that do not, quote-unquote, exist. Perhaps it is better to call them worlds that exist in a different way. And not just worlds, but nature favors the creation of made-up narratives as well, sequences of events that are more or less structured. Jung noted that very often dreams have a definite, evidently purposeful structure, indicating an underlying idea or intention, though as a rule, the latter is not immediately comprehensible. Dreams are not static visions, but fluid realms with more or less understandable, if not completely comprehensible or logical, sequences of events. People in dreams may be odd or uncanny or monstrous, but they have names and faces. The ground may give way beneath our feet and we may fall from a great height, but we comprehend what is happening, if not why or how. Dreams, in my experience, are not like abstract paintings or modern art, but rather are peopled with concrete characters, whether normal humans or Lovecraftian monsters. Why not also make our waking dreams, our imaginative fictions, with definite, purposeful structure and concrete, if sometimes fantastic, characters? Anais Nin, a writer I otherwise do not care for, argued in favor of modeling fiction on dreams. She writes, "There is no doubt that the act of creation is very similar to the act of dreaming. The difference is that it includes an activity which has been difficult to analyze. It is not only the power to summon an image, but the power to compose with this image." Her modus operandi, based on an unsourced saying attributed to Jung, ran as follows: "Guided by Jung's words to proceed from the dream outward, I describe at the end the desire of the dreamers to wake, to find the way out, into life, into daylight. The dream was to be the genesis, the birthplace of our life. The novels were to be the constant description of going into life and back into the dream to seek the self when it lost its way. In a sense, I continued to say, the dream is the key, the source, the birthplace of our most authentic self. To imagine is to dream. And while I am not aware of any scientific studies into the effects of immersive fictional experiences, from my personal experience, it is evident to me that stories, like dreams, are agents of cleansing and renewal, in which the self is processed, reoriented, and rejuvenated. Not only can artists consciously pack their signs and symbols with greater valence, but there is something unique when using your imagination to enter a fictional world about experiencing more fully your own mind as in dreams. Hence that unique feeling, particularly in reading, when you realize that you have been truly consumed in a story. When you realize that you had forgotten the book in your hands because you were witnessing it rather than reading it. That feeling of waking up resurrected by light from a dream. There is also the unique, though different, feeling of walking out of a movie theater after the cinematic experience. For a few fading moments, you are more aware, more sensitive. A swirl of sensations that are not quite emotions are aflow in you, and you therefore are something that you were not when you entered. The world seems more itself because you perceive more meaning in it. Some little portion of the meaning of things, which typically lies dormant, has bubbled a little more to the surface. The art of storytelling not only taps into the power of dreams, but puts the power and benefits of dreams at our disposal. We are able to enter the dream whenever we should like, with a book or a film. But it's here that we immediately encounter the one crucial difference between dreams and stories. Namely, we cannot enter the stories that we make as we can enter dreams. We cannot enter books, movies, or TV shows and become characters in them. But in dreams, we do enter the story. We are first-person actors. We might not actually control ourselves in the dream, lucid dreaming aside, but even in conventional dreams, we dream that we are in control. Either way, the important thing is that I am a character in the story. The characters in the dream speak to me and touch me and interact with me. The dream, says Jung, is the theater where the dreamer is at once scene, actor, prompter, stage manager, author, audience, and critic. If dreaming is the intuitive source of our story-making instinct, it makes sense that the stage play originated as the logical attempt to enter our stories, to do the actions, even as children freely act out the worlds of their imaginations, trying to get back to the dream, or trying to bring the dream into life. But the fact remains that while we can speak the lines and swing the prop swords, we cannot enter the play, not so thoroughly that our actions can change the story or its outcome. In dreams, we engage both sides of the dialectic of imagination. We invent, and we are invented. We tell, and we are told. We are author and audience, director and actor. And this dialectic, with these two turning points, creates the portal by which the story can be entered. In dreams, we make choices, and the world, though invented by us, responds to us apart from our will. In waking life, by contrast, we can only engage one side of the dialectic of imagination. In our stories, we are either in the position of author or reader, playwright or actor. Either we do everything or everything happens to us. Therefore, we cannot enter the stories we tell. There is neither wardrobe nor painting to pass through into other worlds. At least, this was true prior to the maturation of the video game. Video games are fictional worlds that we can enter. Sometimes they have intricately woven, even profound stories with sophisticated philosophies. Sometimes they are little more than a simple competitive sport. But video games are always a world or place apart, a different form of ordinary life where we can act and move and make choices, interacting with the environment, acting in the third person, observing ourselves while being ourselves. They even allow us to move coherently, thanks to clearly defined mechanics in abstract worlds, and to move because we understand the rules of movement, even in worlds that do not make sense. Thus, video games can even approximate the abstract nature of dreams, and even more vividly than novels or films. For this reason, I believe that the video games of today are, in form and essence, the fullest embodiment and consummation of the dream in waking life, where the 2 points of the dialectic of imagination come closest as of yet. If in our storytelling we truly wish to proceed from the dream outward, we must look to video games. Given how massive the video game industry is, I don't need to convince anyone to do what people obviously so naturally want to do, and are already doing in the millions. I don't need to convince people to play or make video games. But not everything that we do or want to do is legitimate, nor are we always convinced of the legitimacy of what we do. I myself have felt guilty playing video games, and I've had trouble defending them against people who say they are a waste of time. But I have since come to believe that video games are legitimate because the dream is legitimate. I can begin to rationally make sense of the feeling of newness and revitalization that I always had even as a teenager from entering into other worlds. Video games are good and healthy because dreams are good and healthy. They can be used in waking life as dreams are used in sleeping to further satisfy as well as augment the natural, necessary function of entering as completely as possible into imaginary worlds. Video games may yet go a long way toward bolstering our mental and emotional health, if they are made properly, and they may become even greater, deeper, and more profound pilgrimages than our finest films and novels. We stand on the cusp of a great possibility. Carl Jung noted that in his practice he encountered many people who seemed unable to engage with possibility, people who seemed to live in a most curious condition of consciousness, as if the state they had arrived at today were final, with no possibility of change, or as if the world and the psyche were static and would remain so forever. They seemed devoid of all imagination, and they entirely and exclusively depended upon their sense perception. Chances and possibilities did not exist in their world, and in today, there was no real tomorrow. The future was just the repetition of the past. It is up to those of us who do see potential in video games to open the eyes of such people to the potential all around us. It is up to us to remind the world of the great tomorrow that awaits us all. Today is not all there is, or all there will be. We shall sleep, and then we shall wake again, in the forward spin of another cosmic revolution, but only after a backward turn on the shadowed side. We shall awake only after we dream.